Okay, I'm in Sophia Campbell's house and I'm just taking a look and I'm just taking a look at this amazing vat of honey that her mum's been putting together, been making from a form of beekeeping called, what's it called?
Natural beekeeping.
Natural beekeeping. So what are the kind of principles of this way of keeping bees? How does it work?
So the main principles are basically helping the bees to live their lives and kind of conserving them rather than rather than financial value. And you do get like honey from it, but it's basically mostly about kind of working with their natural systems.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, when you take honey away, you replace it with honey water instead of sugar water because the amount of nutrients in the honey. You also only take honey at 1 or 2 points of the year instead of every 6 weeks because it takes them a lot of energy to build up the heat again.
Okay, so let's just go to like the way that people standardly do it. How do people usually do it?
So normal beekeepers, they treat the bees with chemicals and they use wax that has got chemicals embedded in it. So a lot of bees are dying from multiple sublethal toxins. So on the kind of what's it called when you have an assessment. On the assessment, these chemicals are legal because they're sublethal amounts, but what they don't factor in is that bees are incredibly sensitive, and when all these chemicals mix together also in their bodies, they create new chemicals, like what actually happens in the natural environment as well, with lots of different agricultural agrochemicals due to sun and wind and different minerals from the earth. They actually merge into into other lethal chemicals which haven't properly been investigated. So that's part of the problem with conventional beekeeping, but also the fact that they create cells for the bees, which is a massive part of the bees' evolution in how they live, and that the cells are slightly larger than normal. And the fact that...
so why does the cells being a bit larger than normal create a problem?
Because bees have to work harder to fill all the cells, so they have to expend more energy because they have to put more honey in than normal.
And then that's what makes their immune system go down as well, makes them more susceptible to disease. I remember you saying earlier, yeah.
That's part of it. Another thing is that bees, like bats, communicate through air waves and stuff.
Oh yeah, ultrasound.
Ultrasound, exactly.
I think that's what it's called.
Yeah. So if, say you imagine a whole box of lots of slats of bee comb, which is a whole frame, bees actually, normally, they would be able to communicate round all these different organic shapes and levels and all these, holes and gaps and stuff, but because there's slat after slat right down into the bottom of the box, not only can they find it hard to move around these things, but they also find it hard to communicate within the hive.
Because they listen to each other, is that?
Yeah.
And they also listen to the...
Exactly, so there's lots of blockages for their ultrasound communication. Whereas normally, so with the top bar beehive, what you have is you literally just have the top bar and then you stick a bit of comb underneath, and the bees build on the comb in their organic ways.
Okay, can I take a picture of that?
Oops. So, and then conventional ones, you've obviously seen the whole thing.
Okay. Being my model. Okay.
What else? It's just a very different way about thinking about keeping bees, really. There are loads of different aspects to it, but I can't remember them all.
No, that's fine.
So in the last since colony collapse disorder was discovered in 2006, and it's
what's that?
Colony collapse disorder is...
I've never heard. Is it just basically that the hives are just falling apart. It's kind of what it sounds like.
It's not a fully explained phenomenon.
Phenomenon.
That has been given this label because everyone doesn't know what else to call it, so they've given it a name but it encompasses basically the fact that bees are disappearing and dying. Not only are they dying, just like, you know, their whole hive will just disappear, like not physically but the bees vanish, and there's no. In a lot of these cases, there are no traces of other bugs and insects going in to like eat the leftover honey or whatever, which is normally what would happen in the wild, which indicates...
So the quality of honey is going down as well.
That, yeah, but also the fact that there's something not right with the hive and maybe with, you know, the amount of chemicals there.
Right. So is this only in artificially created hives, or is this in natural hives that bees have been creating themselves?
I think this is just intensively farmed bees.
Okay.
Wild bees are also largely declining because of the lack of wildlife and flowers and stuff, because of the way that we've changed our farming, and also like people don't really have flowers in their gardens and stuff anymore.
Don't worry, I'm just turning it up a bit.
And then at the same time, there's like a massive amount of different chemicals, like I was saying, which mean that the flowers that do grow and like all the plants that they pollinate that are factory farmed, which are chemically enhanced, affect them as well.
You were saying about meadow spaces being taken away. What is that right?
Yeah.
What's so important about meadow spaces?
Because of the pollen that the bees would get from the meadow.
Is it from the grass? The grass.
Yeah, and all the flowers and like the diversity as well. Like, because monocrops are only like very certain type and amount of nutrients, and they don't build up their resilience with their immune system, and they're just, you know, bone structure or whatever, because lots of it's like a certain type of so if they're like surrounded by fields and fields of, you know, corn, then they will only get like a certain type of nutrients.
Right, I see.
Yeah, and colony collapse disorder was discovered in America in 2006 when this guy had it was like 40,000 beehives or something, and he came back 2 weeks later and like 2/3 of them
had gone
or vanished.
Jesus.
Yeah, and it was like the first time when that had ever
so
happened.
It had gone down to, that must, like 40,000, my maths is terrible,
no, like 18, 17,000, something like that, something
18,
really...
it dropped from 40 to about 18 or 17.
Something
like
crazy like that. And then in 2007, like it started to show in Europe as well, because another thing is that most of the honey that we get when it's like intensively farmed is one type of bee called European honeybee.
Okay.
Because it's the most productive, or like, you know, produces, I don't know, it's the most resilient. But because like literally the whole of America, most of Europe and other parts of the world only use this one type of bee, it's completely not resilient to any bugs.
Right.
So if it gets infected, it will just, you know,
wipe out the whole thing because there's only one species.
Yeah.
Oh God.
I know.
God, it's like
there's so many different levels. It's so many different levels.
Oh gosh.
But,
it feels like sort of the end of the world kind of thing, doesn't it? It sounds quite frightening, really.
Yeah, but there's been a resurgence because government in the UK at least, like I know that Kent's honeybees have been like coming back because there's been policies put in place to like plant more wildflowers and change the way that
people farm.
Giving farmers incentives to like have wildflower meadows and like buffer zones around the edge of their field.
Okay, and is that to change their are they meant to change their method as well? You were talking about the whole how it seems to be a standard with intensive beekeeping that they'll open the hive every 6 weeks. Did you say?
On average.
Is that part of what's changing as well?
The British Beekeeper Association are not at the moment wanting to change the standard of beekeeping, and they actually were involved in a chemical company recently that were caused a scandal in the UK. I can't remember how they were involved in it. I think it was funding one of their conferences, or so obviously giving them money, so they are doing certain things.
Right.
And in America definitely not, because it's like massive. Because like bees will be kind of like, they have these massive vans, and then they take all the beehives out and put them in, say, like an almond orchard, leave them there for 6 weeks, and then put them back on this massive lorry like battery chickens, and then drive them to the other side of the country where the climate's like completely different, a lot colder.
Oh God!
And then they take them out and put them there for.
And expect them to just be fine.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a real shock to the system. But so there's that good thing happening in Kent and other parts of the country as well. And there's also like loads of different like beekeeping initiatives popping up all everywhere, and like lots of community stuff. That in London there's like, I think there's like a big beekeepers network that just started up recently, and there's, I don't know if you've heard of community supported agriculture, which is where members of the community club their like pool their buying power, if you like, or they're like and support a certain initiative, maybe agricultural. So like say like we'll give like 100 people, say, okay, we're going to give the farmer this amount of money at the beginning of the year, and then so they can invest that in something stable, so they know that they've got a certain amount of money, instead of like people buying a little bit and then so the farmer produces lots and then the next couple of weeks no one buys things,
Right, so it's like a long-term investment.
Exactly.
So that the farmer knows
yeah.
what he's getting.
Yeah. And in return, like, they will always get, this cheaper produce from the farmer. Anyway, so there's like stuff like that happening with bees and honey. So it's not all doom and gloom.
Okay, well that's
but
cool.
It's interesting, yeah. It needs to be recognised.
I think just there was one more thing just to get it on the recording, the thing about the 6 week gaps. Why that's so bad for the bees? Why it's such a problem?
Because they buzz their little wings to keep the hive warm, and that takes a lot of energy. And if the heat gets let out, then they have to buzz a lot harder. And they run out of energy.
Was there like a traditional way of beekeeping, like a long time ago, before everything started getting commercial, where the right amount of time was taken to, and how long was that gap before this started happening?
Well, like a lot of things to do with agriculture, in the Industrial Revolution, a new way of keeping bees transformed. Okay. And actually, but before the Industrial Revolution, when these new ways of keeping bees came in, they would actually like set the hives on fire and like kill all the bees.
What?
Yeah, no, but this was like, again, this was
doesn't sound like a better approach.
I know, so it was like an improvement on that to one hand, but the burning thing, I don't know how long that went on for, but
that's weird.
I know, it was like, I don't know when it started. Mum would know. Mum knows.
Was that a superstitious thing or what?
Well, no, they just didn't know how to get the honey without killing the bees. Because it was like, this is what Mum made the other day. This is called a skep.
What's that called?
A skep.
Okay.
And
what is this? Okay.
Actually no, this is slightly different. This is for catching swans.
Catching swans?
Anyway. Yeah, like when there's a swarm of bees, they were like buzzing around.
Oh, swarms. I thought you said swans.
Swans.
It's a bit small for a swan.
No. But
Okay.
the beehives would look slightly similar to this. They'd have
Okay.
like
A little.
go in, and but then they would have no way of getting the honey out, so they'd just set the whole thing alight.
Oh God. Well, I suppose things improved from there.
Yeah, but I guess it was like, but really in the olden days, people used to get honey from the wild honey.
Yeah.
Wild hives.
Yeah, okay. So, but the optimum amount of, what's being taken up by natural beekeepers is just once or twice a year, you said?
Yeah, but actually in the Western culture, the fire thing happened, but in other cultures, like in Africa, they have these hives called Ware beehives, which is Warre, which is a type of top bar beehive that I described to you earlier. Which is like natural. It's a form of natural beekeeping, basically. Like
top bar bee. So that's where you only take the honey from the top bar. Is that right? No.
Yeah, that's when the only wax that's put in the frames is a thin strip underneath the top bar, and then they organically create their own frame.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh right. Yeah. So they build up a whole thing underneath it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see. Okay. All right, thank you, Sophia Campbell. This is Sophia Campbell.
Thanks, Daniel.
Okay, stop.